Hi everyone, hope you are doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now today I want to look into what Kenyans are referring to as Muhoozi's hot air. And I will try to make it as short as possible within 12 minutes. If it go beyond that, I think I will need to do a separate video. Now, there is a traffic on Twitter between Kenyans and Uhuru Museveni's son, a man by the name Muhoozi Kainerugaba. This is a former military man. That means he's well trained. And beside this, of course, he's running a private military in Uganda as we're speaking now. And this is what he tweeted, showing that he had a conversation with the immediate retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is what he's saying. Just spoke to my big brother, Afande Uhuru, an incredible man. I love him for his courage, honesty, and intelligence. He will visit Uganda soon. That means Uhuru will be going to Uganda. But after that, he made a second tweet. My only problem with my people, with my beloved big brother, is that he didn't stand for a third term. We would have won easily. That was the second tweet he made. But now from there, Kenyans will come to react because, of course, Kenya is a democratic country. You have two terms. That's according to our 2010 constitution. Now, this was the third tweet. Haha, I love my Kenyan relatives. Constitution, rule of law. You must be joking. For us, there is only the revolution and you will soon learn about it. Now, that means there is nothing like rule of law in Uganda. Of course, there is nothing like constitution in Uganda. What they all know about, it is about revolution. And the truth of the matter is that Uganda has never had a transfer of power in peace, a peaceful transfer of power. Someone will need to go in the bush and fight to take over power. From there, you can see now the tweet is getting a lot of reaction. But then, now this one is the tweet that now started making Kenyans to think like even me, as if someone has just hacked his account. This is what he said. It wouldn't take us, my army and me, 2 weeks to capture Nairobi. Already that one is a threat. I want to stop from there, but I will continue. But now, before I give my own view, just after that, because remember he has gone to an extent of even apologizing later in a series of tweets. Before just I give my own view up to the level where he has talked about Uhuru and the issue of constitution and revolution. To link what he's saying to what we have heard earlier, because this is not the first threat Kenya is getting from a senior person in Uganda. Before, remember, we were talking about Idi Amin Dada. Some time back, as a Ugandan president, Idi Amin said that the Uganda border were beyond Juba and Torit in Sudan. And all areas of western Kenya, up to about 30 kilometers from Nairobi, that is Nakuru, Naivasha there. An area the British transferred to Kenya from Uganda, according to his own view. And it was one of the most fertile area in East Africa. Since this was the only fertile area where they could do the agriculture and have all the resources, that was the thing that was provoking Idi Amin to reclaim the land. And this was about 1976 February there. Now, after that, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta declared that Kenya would deal ruthlessly with neighbors who are publicly expressing their sinister intention. But another truth is that when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was saying this, by that time, Uganda had a stronger army more than what we had in Kenya. But of course, the story goes on. If you read where US helped Kenya to have a strong army with a better equipment that it can help them to fight an enemy at any given time. So you can see there was some threat some time earlier. But now, Uhuru Museveni's son, who was a senior military officer, a man who's running a private army in Uganda, still is coming with the almost similar threat to Kenya. Now, if Muhoozi spoke to Uhuru Kenyatta, and again he went further to say that if Uhuru could have run for the office for that time, he could have won election, and then he declared threat against Kenya to capture Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, in 2 weeks' time. Then the question is, what comes to your mind with all this kind of tweets? That's exactly what we want to look into. But before we go deep into that discussion, just a quick request. You might be watching this channel, but you're not subscribed. So my humble request, please consider subscribing so that another time, once we release a video like this one, you will always get notified. Again, to all our channel subscribers and anyone who drop comment, I must say thank you so much for your unconditional support. Again, I'm requesting you to give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube can recommend our videos to more viewers. Back to our discussion. Now, the truth of the matter is that President William Samoei Ruto is a friend to Uganda President Yoweri Museveni. Even during his inauguration, he gave Museveni a chance to speak to Kenya and referred to him as the father of East Africa. That's the truth of the matter. And so if this is clear, it means already Museveni family have friendship with the William Ruto family. And therefore, in my first view, in my own thinking, I have a feeling that Ruto could be using Muhoozi to set up Uhuru Kenyatta. Why? Because Muhoozi is talking about Uhuru Kenyatta, making a call with Uhuru Kenyatta, and then you come here, talk about inviting Uhuru to Uganda, and then after that, Uhuru winning that term in office, and we have a sitting president. So if you're setting up Uhuru Kenyatta, you create a situation that will cause insecurity in Kenya. Then after creating such a situation in Kenya, then definitely you bring in the name of Uhuru Kenyatta trying to use the Uganda army and the Museveni son to create disturbance in the country. So that alone, you get a chance to push this issue on Uhuru Kenyatta, to put blame on Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Because if really they had a talk with the Uhuru Kenyatta, why do you come publicly to talk about posing a threat, in fact, on Kenyan capital city? It means the immediate retired president and you have ill motive with the current regime in power. So that's my first thinking. Second, I want to look on the post that was shared, a tweet that was shared by Mutahi Ngunyi to answer my second point. This is what Mutahi Ngunyi said. When Uganda is in crisis, they annex Migingo Island. They tell us that the island is ours, but the fish and the water around it is theirs. Then Idi Amin was in crisis. He told us that Naivasha is in Uganda. Now they will take Nairobi in 2 weeks. What is their crisis? Mind-boggling. Another issue will be that, remember I have told you, if Muhoozi has a plan to attack Kenya, he will not come publicly to talk about his plan, because already you have leaked out. The other truth of the matter is that Muhoozi is looking over to inherit his father. And therefore, using Kenya social media vibrance as a means to achieve his end scheme. He can decide to make such statement, because now he's preparing his fellow Ugandans for what is coming in 2026. Remember, they will have an election. He is the next online. But the question is he patient enough, or is creating a takedown on his father so that he can take over power from his father before the father retire? So you talk about Kenya, and because Kenyans are good on Twitter, then he gets the publicity he's looking for and the popularity he's looking for, whether it is negative or positive. As simple as that. Uganda, they will have election. When Idi Amin faced resistance in Uganda from Museveni, he was claiming part of Kenya to be part of Uganda. Now, that was making him look popular and a person who is focusing on safeguarding Uganda. Now, we have Muhoozi who wants to inherit his father. So to become popular, talk about Kenya, because Kenyans are good when it comes to the issue of social media. Kenya on Twitter. That's why they refer to them as KOT. Quote. Kenya on Twitter. They can really light it on Twitter. Because the truth of the matter, there's no way someone in Uganda will think about attacking Kenya or capturing Nairobi with the kind of the equipment Kenya has. You cannot attempt that. Kenya is way far. Look at the economy. That means even when it comes to the equipment for safeguarding the country, it is not a joke we will think or play about. Now, number three, someone will think that Muhoozi is not accepting Ruto's presidency. It could be a possibility that because he is with Ruto, with Uhuru, and Uhuru had another candidate, then yes, he's not organizing Ruto as the president. And the people are saying that Ruto rigging was aided by Uganda, and there was a promise to give them some money. But now when they took over power, the whole game they're talking about is all about saying that they found the treasury empty. So they cannot pay back what they had promised the Ugandans. And if Muhoozi was in team that was helping them, then he's just hungry and reiterating on that. Look at that. Another thing could be that because Uhuru is a friend to Museveni, and Ruto also is a friend to Museveni. Now Ruto is in power, and maybe Ruto might not support Muhoozi when he will be vying for president, or if he will want to take over from the father. The first thing you talk against the current sitting president, so that you can cut off the friendship between Ruto and Museveni. That once you take over power, then Ruto will be nowhere at all, because maybe Ruto will not be supporting him. So maybe he's looking for a way to cut off the friendship between Ruto and Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, because maybe he wants to act against his father by taking over power by force from the father, so that now Museveni will not get the aid from Ruto to help him to recapture or retain the power.